Yo, what's good? Welcome back to the Heart Zone. I'm the host, McGarren Hart, and today we're going to be talking about the biggest names of free agency to change teams. So, to start off, we're going to start off with the offense. We're going to go position by position. So, y'all stay tuned for each position to keep updated, to stay updated on what's happened so far in the 2025 NFL free agency. First off, we got the quarterbacks. We'll start off with Sam Darnold. Great season for the Vikings last year. The Seahawks have rewarded him with a 3-year, $100 million contract. This is huge for them because now they are gambling on Sam Darnold repeating last year and being their starting quarterback for the future. And there's a ripple effect of that. Before that happened, they traded away Geno Smith for a third-round pick to the Las Vegas Raiders, who were looking for a quarterback, desperate for one. They get Geno Smith to take over for a few years. He's looking for an extension. Also, Daniel Jones, popular for the wrong reasons, but yes, he's popular. Guess what? He signed with the Indianapolis Colts, 1 year, $14 million. Him and Anthony Richardson will now be going hand in hand for the starting job. They basically saying beat Daniel Jones or we getting rid of you. If you can't beat Daniel Jones, you got a problem. So I think Anthony Richardson need to get it together and win that job. Next up, we got Justin Fields, 2 year, $40 million to the New York Jets. They are replacing Aaron Rodgers with Justin Fields. Potential is through the roof on Fields. He hasn't hit it yet. Steelers fan really wanted him back, so that should tell you something. Just needs to get a little bit quicker with his processing, and that's pretty much the worst thing. That's the only thing he needs to improve on so much. So next up, we got A-Rod and Russell Wilson. They have not signed yet, but guess what? We know about where they're likely going. We have the Steelers, we have the Giants, and we have apparently the Vikings, who Aaron Rodgers wants to go to. My opinion, honestly, either the Giants or the Steelers is who Aaron Rodgers is going to go to. More than likely the Steelers to play with DK Metcalf and George Pickens. But we shall see on that. Russell Wilson, I think his options are the Giants, the Steelers if we don't get A-Rod. And then also the Browns have been making some noise on Russell Wilson, so he could end up on the Browns. Those are the destinations for all the quarterbacks and what has happened for them. On to the running backs. I only got one big name changing teams right now. Najee Harris from my team, 1 year, up to $9.5 million from the Chargers. Honestly, Najee has a few things he can work on. He doesn't have that burst like you would want, but guess what? Najee is still a back that can power you 3 to 4 yards every single play. So I think he'll be a good fit with Justin Herbert, and he'll probably have one of his better years because he's playing behind a much better O-line than he did with the Steelers, and a much better quarterback than he did with the Steelers. So look for Najee to have a pretty good year on his new team. Next up, we got wide receivers. We'll start off fresh. Yesterday, we had news that Kupp has signed a 3-year, $45 million contract with the Seattle Seahawks. They traded away DK Metcalf for a second-round pick. That's another big-time move that the Seahawks have made. But they basically traded him away for a second-round pick and replaced him with Cooper Kupp. So they got a Kupp and a second-round pick for Metcalf right now. And also, next up, Davante Adams. 2 year, $46 million with the Rams. I think this is one of the biggest signings of free agency because him with Stafford and Nakua, that duo is trio is kind of scary. And they're like, oh, they had Kupp, Nakua, and Stafford. That team, they were dogging folks. And I think Adams is definitely better than Kupp right now. Kupp is obviously still good when he plays, have a few health concerns, but I got Adams being better than Kupp right now. That's going to be a crazy trio in Los Angeles. All right, next up we got D-Hop, 1 year, $6 million deal with the Ravens. Just was with the Chiefs last year. This is not the same D-Hop we know, but he's still a D-Hop that can produce for your team. Next up, T. Higgins, tagged, likely traded from the Bengals. They're not trying to pay that big-time money. I'm sure T. Higgins is tired of being tagged, so they're likely looking for a trade, which what I've heard is so far is the Bengals are asking for a ridiculous price for for T. Higgins. So he might end up back on the Bengals for this year and then change teams next year. Lastly, we got Chris Godwin, the dog, the man himself. Always plays hard. I love his game. He's signing back with the Bucks. The Bucks have rewarded him for being a stud for them and always being loyal to them. So he's back with the Bucks. Next up, we got the tight ends. Tight ends, I got two names for you. I got Zach Ertz. He's re-signing with the Commanders, 1 year, $6.5 million deal. Great signing for the Commanders. I think he was huge for Jaden Daniels as a security blanket. Obviously doesn't have the same speed as he had way before, but he still has great hands, and it was a great safety blanket for Jaden Daniels last year. And next up, we have Evan Ingram, who was on the Jaguars last year, went through a bunch of quarterbacks, was playing pretty good with T-Law. He's on the Broncos now playing with Bo Nix. I think that's actually a great signing, in my humble opinion, because Bo Nix, he's going to get his tight end the ball. So I think Evan Ingram is a huge signing for them. And last but not least on the offense, we have the offensive line. Started off with Ronnie Stanley, re-signed with the Ravens, 3 year, $60 million, which is weird because Dan Moore got 4 year, $82 million from the Tennessee Titans. So he actually ended up getting more than Ronnie Stanley. Obviously, he's younger, but I've seen Dan Moore play a lot. He's a pretty average tackle, and if average tackles get paid $20 million a year now, we got a problem. So Dan Moore, Stanley were the first two signings. Drew Dalman went to the Bears, and then Aaron Banks left the 49ers and went to the Packers on a huge contract. So, all right, next up, let's go to defense. We're going to start off with the D-line and go down. So, D-line, we got Khalil Mack. He's returning back to the Chargers on a 1 year deal. $18 million is what it was reported. Great signing for the Chargers. They need Khalil Mack back. He's been productive. Even though he's much older, he's still a very productive player. I thought he would have went to a contender this year, but maybe he thinks the Chargers are contenders. You never know. Next up, Joey Bosa. The running mate of Khalil Mack last year, the past few years, from the Chargers, was cut. They cut him. He was a free agent. It was rumored he might go to the 49ers to play with his brother, but he ended up deciding to go to the Bills to possibly build build on his resume and hold down the defense for Josh Allen. I think that's a good signing for him. Maybe he can go in that Von Miller type role where he can still produce a little bit, not be the player he was, but still be a pass rusher, a big name pass rusher off the edge. Next up, we got Hassan Reddick. He signed with Tampa Bay. 1 year deal. Hassan Reddick had a lot of stuff going on last year where obviously he was getting into it with the Jets where he didn't want to play there. He wanted his money. And now he kind of messed up his free agency a little bit. So they take a 1 year prove it deal with Tampa Bay, who's actually brought in a few people like Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul. They kind of go and get a vet edge that they want to kind of hold it down. So I'm sure if he has a good year for them, he'll be back. So next up, we got DeMarcus Lawrence, long-time Dallas Cowboy. Was one of their best players on their defense. He's going to Seattle. He's pairing up with Leonard Williams. D-Law's pairing up with Leonard Williams in Seattle. And then we have Josh Sweat, who ended up signing at 4 years, $76 million with the Arizona Cardinals. This D-line class was loaded. There was a lot of DNs who changed teams. We got Milton from the Eagles, who had a big year. He signed a big contract with the New England Patriots. Next up, we got Josh Allen. Josh Allen was a long-time commander. He signed a big-time deal with the Vikings. Another defensive tackle that the Vikings signed was Javon Hargrave from the 49ers, Eagles, and Steelers previously as their kind of pass rushing defensive tackle, and Jonathan Allen will be their run stuffer. So, Jarrett, he was signed by the Chicago Bears. They brought him in to pretty much hold down that middle of their defense. And then last but not least, Javon Kinlaw, who was previously set as a bust, got a huge deal from the Commanders. So, that's the D-line class. Let's go to linebackers. I got two big names. We got Greenlaw from the 49ers, Dre Greenlaw. He tore his ACL or Achilles in the Super Bowl. He missed most of this year. He returned for the 49ers, played decent, and now he's going to the Broncos to hold down their middle linebacker spot for a 3-year deal. So, and also Robert Spillane, he's played with the Steelers, he's played with the Raiders. He's changing teams again. He's going to New England to hold down the middle of their defense. Those are the linebackers I got for you. Cornerback. Let's start off with DJ Reed, big-time corner for the Jets last year, playing across from Sauce Gardner. He's had some good games. He's going to the Lions, a team that desperately needed a cornerback, and they got a person who's going to play hard every single snap, and DJ Reed. So I think that's a great fit for them. Next up, we got Charvarius Ward, long-time 49er, big-time 49er. He's going to the Indianapolis Colts to be their cornerback one. They've been needing a cornerback one for a few years, and they're hoping that Charvarius Ward will come from the 49ers and be that for them. Also got Carlton Davis. Carlton Davis has went to New England to join Robert Spillane on the defense. Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy re-signed with the Vikings on a 3-year, $66 million deal. He wanted to return. He liked what he saw with Minnesota after he left Arizona. He's been a stud for them, so they brought him back. Next up, we got Darius Slay, cornerback from the Eagles. They cut him. He's going to Pittsburgh. 34 going out 35. Hopefully he'll play a big role opposite Joey Porter Jr. Also be able to mentor Joey Porter Jr. a little bit. So I think that's more of a mentorship signing than a production signing, but he hasn't fallen off yet, so he'll still be at least the average starter for the Steelers. And last but not least, we have our safeties who have switched teams. The biggest one being Javon Holland leaving the Dolphins. He has now went to New York Giants, where he said he wants to go to New York. So he's there. He's going to hold down that secondary for them. He's a good hybrid safety. Hufanga, he left the 49ers. He had a big-time injury last year where he didn't play most of the year. Now he's back, and he ended the year off. Now he's going to the Broncos to hold down their safety spot. Broncos made a lot of splashes. Last but not least, Justin Reed has left the Kansas City Chiefs, and he has now went to the New Orleans Saints. He's went home to Louisiana, and now he's a New Orleans Saints to hold down the back of their secondary next to Tyrann Mathieu, who they also brought back. So those are the big-time names that have changed teams this free agency. I hope that kept y'all updated and y'all now see where everybody has went and y'all enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. I'm Garen Hart, and I'm out.